We need to eat the baby.
I have no respect for women who vote for Trump. Okay, I think so poorly of them, and the reason why.
Hey, how's it going? So, this woman on the left adopted this woman on the right. She tried to kill us. Indiana mother, who adopted 6-year-old Ukrainian girl with dwarfism, has been charged with abandonment, but claims her daughter was found to be a 22-year-old sociopath masquerading as a child. That's messed up. If the premise sounds familiar, that's because it's virtually the exact plot of 2009 big screen chiller Orphan, where a pig-tailed youngster tries to murder her family when it's revealed she is 33. But as far-fetched as it sounds, this is the astonishing defense put forward by a mom of 3 and parenting author shockingly accused of felony neglect for abandoning her adopted daughter. Christine Baronet, 45, and her ex-husband Michael Baronet, 43, were alleged to have dumped Ukrainian-born Natalie Grace at an apartment in Lafayette, Indiana in 2013 before moving to Canada 1 month later after breaking off contact. Can you blame her? She's 22. Wow. Wow. Look at that. Police say the girl was left to fend for herself for 3 years despite having a rare form of dwarfism. That means she is 3 feet tall and has problems walking. But in an exclusive interview with Daily Mail TV at an undisclosed location, Christine insists there's a major flaw in the case. Natalia, is not a 9-year-old, as charging documents claim. She was actually 22 years old. Baronet claims the true victims of her and her family who were terrorized for years by the mysterious imposter who threatened to stab them in their sleep, push her towards an electric fence, and poured bleach in her coffee. The movie Orphan is exactly what happened. She would make statements and draw pictures saying she wanted to kill family members, roll them up in a blanket, and put them in the backyard, she told Daily Mail TV. Oh, that must be them, Christine Baronet and her husband. She was standing over people in the middle of the night. You couldn't go to sleep. We had to hide all the sharp objects. I saw her putting chemicals, bleach, Windex, something like that, in my coffee, and I asked her, "What are you doing?" She said, "I'm trying to poison you. The media is painting me to be a child abuser, but there is no child here," said Baronet. Natalia was a woman. She has periods. She has adult teeth. She never grew a single inch, which would happen even with a child with dwarfism. The doctors all confirmed she was suffering from a severe psychological illness only diagnosed in adults. She was jumping out of moving cars. She was smearing blood on mirrors. She was doing things you could never imagine a little child doing. Before criminal charges were leveled at them on September 11th, Baronet and her ex-husband Michael were held as exemplary parents who raised child genius Jake Baronet. Diagnosed with autism at age 2, Jake nonetheless had his first academic paper published at 12 and by 15 was studying at a prestigious physics institute. His story was featured in a 2012 episode of CBS 60 Minutes, but it was the shy girl who sat to his left at the family dinner table that would one day prompt altogether more sinister headlines. The Baronets, experienced foster parents who ran a children's daycare from their Westfield, Indiana home, collected the curly-haired youngster from Florida in May 2010. While living with the Baronets, Natalia's adoption was completed in November that year. In a frank and tearful interview with Daily Mail TV, Christine Baronet insisted she treated the new addition to her family as if she were her biological child. She had no hesitation in accepting Natalia despite learning she had a bone growth disorder named, I don't know, dysplasia, which causes short stature, skeletal abnormalities, and problems with vision. I always wanted to have a larger family, and I had very severe complications in my pregnancy and was unable to have more children, Barnett explained. I also, at the time, had a very privileged life. I felt that if I had the ability to help another person in the world, then I wanted to do it. Given just 24 hours to complete an emergency adoption, the couple raced to an adoption center in Florida to sign the paperwork and meet their 6-year-old daughter. They gleaned precious few details of her background. Natalia had been in the U.S. for 2 years, had a Ukrainian birth certificate reading September 4, 2003, and needed a home immediately because of her previous adoptive parents suddenly gave her up for undisclosed reasons. Out of compassion for their situation, I didn't want to press them for information on what had gone wrong, the mom went on. That's crazy. Look at that. Natalia was extremely nervous. You could see she was going to need a lot of support and care. We did notice immediately in the parking lot that she couldn't walk. There was nothing in the paperwork stating that. Over the next few days, the couple showered Natalia with attention, taking her to Disney World, enjoying ice cream, treats, and playful pillow fights with their 3 brothers to slowly bring her out of her shell. When they took Natalia to a beach for the first time, she did something that would leave the couple speechless. The boys rushed into the water, and Natalia wanted to be carried into the ocean. Michael and myself were physically exhausted, so we asked her to wait just a few minutes. With that, she just got up and ran into the ocean. I remember looking at Mike thinking, what's going on? I couldn't walk a second ago, and now she just got up and ran? Or she couldn't walk a second ago, and then she just got up and ran. Baronet grew more alarmed when she saw the little girl naked for the first time. I was giving her a bath and I noticed she had full pubic hair. I was so shocked. I had just been told she was 6 years old, and it was very apparent she wasn't, she added. There were further clues to an apparent deception. Natalia shunned dolls and toys, sought the company of teenage girls, and appeared to use sophisticated vocabulary way beyond someone her age. She didn't have any trace of foreign accent, and when the family asked a Ukrainian friend to speak in their native language, Natalia couldn't understand or describe their homeland. Wow. At the time, I ran a little school, and I remember she said to me, "These children are exhausting. I don't know how you do it," Baronet went on. I was like, "You're supposed to be a child yourself." It was like something another mom would say as she dropped off her kids. It's very hard to decipher how old she is because she has such a unique look. But at that time, I started to believe she was probably a teenager. But I don't have any regrets. That's what I wanted to do. I felt overwhelming love for her. Baronet says she soon began finding bloody clothing in the trash, suggesting Natalia was having her period and trying to conceal the evidence. She sought out the help of her family physician, who ordered bone density tests to establish Natalia's age. When the results suggested the little girl was indeed at least 14 or older, Baronet says she switched the princess outfit of pink dresses for more appropriate clothing. But as questions swirled around her age and true identity, Natalia's behavior began to deteriorate. Baronet recalls watching aghast on a baby monitor as Natalia attacked a baby boy when she was out of the room. When they attended therapy together, Natalia scoffed at the childish bonding exercises. By 2011, Baronet says that Natalia was smearing bodily fluids on the walls, making death threats, and hearing voices as her mental health broke down. Natalia would spend the next year or so being treated for various psychiatric disorders, spending days to weeks at the time of the St. Vincent Minneapolis Stress Center. When Baronet claimed she tried to drag her onto an electric fence during the 2012 birthday outing, Natalia was placed long-term at a state-run psychiatric unit because she allegedly posed a risk to others. It was during this treatment that Baronet insisted that Natalia confessed to being far older than she appeared. Baronet presented Daily Mail TV with a trove of paperwork that appears to confirm her versions of events, and that healthcare professionals shared her grave concerns. One clinical therapist in January 2012 said Natalia claimed to them that she was 18. Then, at Elora Hospital in Indianapolis in June 2012, staff said she had described how she had tried to kill family members and had no remorse about it, with Natalia going as far as to describe it as fun to staff. It was also in 2012 that police first began asking questions, although correspondence reviewed by Daily Mail TV suggests that they were trying to establish whether an immigration fraud took place before the Baronets had any involvement with Natalia. Detective Scott Klaus of the Westfield City Police Department told him via email that he had referred to the case of the FBI and ICE because he suspected there was false age reporting prior to Natalia leaving Ukraine. Klaus died of cancer 4 years ago, but Captain James Lilly, a former colleague, told Daily Mail TV that while he vaguely remembered the case, he did not think the FBI pursued it further. In June of 2012, the Baronet successfully applied to Marion County Superior Court in Indianapolis, Indiana, to have Natalia's age corrected so she could receive the appropriate psychiatric treatment for an adult. In documents seen by Daily Mail TV, Judge Gerald Z. Zor accepted the couple's allegations were true and revised Natalia's date of birth to September 4th, 1989, changing her age from 8 to 22. At this stage, Baronet points out Natalia was considered an adult by the state of Indiana and was legally responsible for herself. Yeah, she is. Even so, Baronet says she and her husband rented an apartment for Natalia when she was discharged from secure psychiatric care in August 2012 and placed under the supervision of state healthcare provider Aspire Indiana. They further helped her get a social security number, apply for benefits, food stamps, and ID. When Natalia caused problems at the property and was evicted, they stepped in again to prevent her from being homeless, renting a new apartment for her in Lafayette, Tippecanoe County. Baronet said she was communicating daily with Natalia and came up with a plan for Natalia to enroll in college to get her high school diploma and study cosmetology. Man, it sounds like these parents are really trying to help her out. She's all wanting to kill him and shit. I said, I've been taking care of you here as an adult. I will do one more year of financial aid, the exact thing I'm doing for all my children, she said. I co-signed the lease and paid for the rent up front for a year. I did everything you would do when you send your child off to college. I helped her with groceries and bought furniture at Target for her. I was optimistic. She had a concrete plan for her life. She had food stamps. She had Social Security income for the rest of her things. She had demonstrated she was able to live. By 2013, Baronet had published a memoir about Jacob, now aged 21, entitled The Spark, A Mother's Story of Nurturing Genius and Autism. The same year they moved to Canada so Jacob could attend the Pyramid Institute for Theoretical Physics in Waterloo, Ontario, leaving Natalia behind in her rented apartment. By then, however, Baronet says Natalia had vanished and stopped returning her calls. Baronet told Daily Mail TV she feared Natalia had stopped taking her medication and was probably posing as a child again for another unsuspecting family. I had found a little pink dress in her closet and a little pink bicycle parked beside her house, she said. I would have to force her back into treatment, but I couldn't do that any longer because she was an adult. She discontinued communication with me. What I did get was a letter in the mail stating that she changed Michael from the beneficiary of her Social Security income to someone else. The last time we spoke on the phone, she told me she was cooking spaghetti for her new family. I did not abandon anyone. I went to Canada to further my son's education. These accusations are absolutely devastating. The Tippecanoe County Sheriff Department, meanwhile, presents a very different version of events. A September 11 affidavit of probe cause obtained by Daily Mail TV states that an expert at the Peyton Manning Children's Hospital named Dr. Riggs carried out bone density tests on Natalia in June 2010. It concluded she was aged approximately 8 years old. A further skeletal test carried out 2 years later at the same facility concluded that she was around 11 years old. The affidavit reveals that it was Natalia herself who told police in 2014 that she had been left alone with her adoptive parents when her adoptive parents moved to Canada, with cops concluding she was a reliable and credible witness. Wow. It does not explain, however, why detectives waited 5 years to put the allegation to Michael Baronet, who divorced Christine in 2014, remarried, and has settled back in Indiana. The document says that when officers spoke with Michael on September 5th, he admitted he knew all along that Natalia was a minor child when she was allegedly abandoned. What? Furthermore, the affidavit adds Michael Baronet admitted Christine Baronet told Natalia to tell others Natalia looks young, but was actually 22. However, his Indianapolis police-based attorney, Terrence Kinnard, denied that his client made any such admission of guilt. The police affidavit is not true. Michael never said he knew Natalia was a child, he told Daily Mail TV. Police knocked on Michael's door and he spoke to them for 3 hours without an attorney present. The statements he gave were clearly taken out of context. My client and I have absolutely no idea why the district attorney has chosen to level these accusations against my client and Christine. The affidavit has been very selective in the medical reports it has chosen to cite. As for Natalia, neither the baronets, their attorneys, nor seemingly anyone else involved in this baffling case appears to know her whereabouts. And despite the possibility that she is now 30 years old, Natalia's full court records will remain sealed until a court decides otherwise because adoption cases are treated as confidential. She last saw her adoptive father when the final chapter in their painful, confusing relationship played out in the Tippecanoe Circuit Court in 2016. There, a couple named Antoine and Cynthia Mann unexpectedly applied to become Natalia's guardians, which meant proving she was a minor to restore her original birth date. And Baronet filed an objection claiming Natalia was an adult. Records are not publicly available, but Daily Mail TV has established that a judge ordered a fresh hearing to establish Natalia's age, with Michael Baronet and a number of experts giving evidence. Natalia was living on her own, and a couple wanted to become her guardians, thinking she was a child. The couple tried to overturn the 2012 result, explained Michael's attorney Kinnard. This time, the court hearing was even more in depth. Not only did the judge look at medical reports and other documents, but witnesses came before the court to explain why they were certain Natalia had been 22. The judge upheld the original results, and the couple dropped the guardianship petition. The most disturbing thing about this is Michael has told me the police investigator who is heading the latest allegation against them was actually present. Daily Mail TV asked the Tippecanoe County Prosecutor's Office in Lafayette for comment. Chief Deputy Prosecutor Jason J. Bliss responded, "Pursuant to Rule 3.6 and Rule 3.8 of the Indiana Rules of Professional Conduct, a prosecutor is prohibited from making extrajudicial or out-of-court statements, including public comments which would have a prejudicial impact on a case or a defendant. I would defer you to the contents of the public court records, namely the filed probable cause affidavit." With Christine and Michael Baronet I don't know that word. I'm going to have to look that up. Vociferously proclaimed their innocence. It's a question that will not likely go away. "I have been cooperative the whole time. I have been truthful with people the whole time," said Christine, choking back tears. "I am being charged by the state of Indiana for crimes against a child, when the state of Indiana has determined multiple times that Natalia was an adult," added Christine, who asked for her location to remain confidential over threats her family has received. From day one, this was a mission of love, but when you bring a child into your home, you expect them to be a child. To be accused of this is unconscionable to me. It's just horrifying. Christine Baronet surrendered to authorities on Thursday, September 19th, and was released after posting a $5,500 bond. Ex-husband Michael surrendered to Tippecanoe County Jail in Lafayette on September 18th, and he was immediately released after having his mugshot taken and posting $5,000 bail. He is due to appear at court in the Tippecanoe Superior Lafayette on September 24th. Anyways, that is just crazy. I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think that's a little girl or an adult? You know? I don't know. They say they did the test and it proved that she was older. That's just crazy.